Free is Me Thursday. I got this Dropleaf table, old antique thing from my friend Kate and Kevin. They had it in their home. They used it as their first table. It's a drop leaf. There's this little crack down the center, which I am going to leave. It's a little bit loose right here, so I'll probably go underneath and glue it and then use my nail gun and nail it down so that it's sturdy. I love free things. I'm sure you all can appreciate free stuff. Here we are with this drop leaf table, getting ready to clean it up. First, I'm gonna shop vac it all. I think it's been sitting in a garage for a long time. It was covered in cobwebs. First I'll do that, then I'll come in with some TSP cleaner and get all the grime off. Then I'll wash it all down with clean, fresh water, and then it'll be ready for paint. I'm gonna use Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint. I don't want this sitting around in my basement for a long time. I wanna sell it quick. So I'm gonna go with Trophy. I think the subtle difference between the Trophy and the wood underneath just popping through, I think that'll be really cool. That's the plan. I just got this from Ace Hardware. It's the TSP cleaner. This is the brand that I've been using. I've probably put in about a tablespoon altogether. Sponge. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this whole piece down, top and bottom, and dry it off. And then I'll get some clean water and go over the whole thing again. I'm getting ready to finish this up for tonight. I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue. This is good for wood, stone, metal, ceramic, foam, glass, and more. So I'm going to use this in here because I really like how this glue expands and then contracts down when it dries. So I'm going to use a piece of cardboard to kind of get it and work it up into the area where I want it to sit. So I'm gonna lift this up a little bit more, give it more room, use the cardboard and just work it in there. It also dries clear, so if you're worried about being a mess, it dries clear. This is a little bit messier and trickier than I thought. Maybe I'll just try squirting some in there. Not really working the way I want it to. That worked. That worked better. That worked better than the cardboard. All right, time for the clamp. I decided that I wasn't going to fix this crack that goes down the center because this is an old table and it's been used. It shows its age a little bit. That's okay. It's got a history. It's got a story. So we're going to leave that crack. So just to give it a little extra stability, I went ahead and I measured the width from where the little table, I don't even know what the name of it is. So I'll probably end up making up my own word for it, where the tabletop screws in. There's a piece of wood where this tabletop screws in, and that piece of wood runs the length of the top of the table right here. That piece of wood is 1.5 inches thick. So what I did was I measured the distance from the end of the table to where the piece of wood begins. And then I measured the distance from the end of the table to where the piece of wood ends. I came up with that it's 1.5 inches wide. So I made a mark 2.5 inches in, which is where that piece of wood starts. And then 4 inches is where it ends. And then I split the difference, which was 0.75. And then I drew a line. I'm gonna go right where that line is and put some nails in with this gun. I don't want those nails to pop out underneath the table anywhere. I want it to go right into that wood. Looking underneath to make sure that no nails came out, and no nails came out. Hopefully this is enough to get this table stable for the next 50 to 100 years, hopefully. I decided to take the palm sander and take all the varnish off the top of this table. So I am quickly running between jobs and sanding down the top of this table. Getting ready to mix up the milk paint. I'm using Miss Mustard Seeds brand. Love this trophy color. So what I have here is the container I'm going to put the milk paint in. They recommend 1-to-1 ratio. You can customize it the way you want it. You can make it thicker or thinner depending on how you want to use the paint. You can use it as a stain, which I'll do for the top, and I'll show you how I mix that up when I get ready to do the top. For this table, I don't think I need all that much, and I don't really like to mix up too much paint. The challenge becomes mixing up just enough paint so that I don't have excess, but I also have enough to cover the whole piece. I'm just using a plastic fork. Some people like to use a little whisk. This is what I had in the basement, and this is what I'm using. Should do the job. So you just want to mix it till all the lumps are gone. It's nice and smooth, and then you want to let it set up for about 10 minutes. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot of paint, but you'll see this stuff spreads on, covers a huge surface with not a lot of paint. So yeah, that's the consistency that I want. I don't know if you can see that. It's like milk paint is really neat once you start playing with it. It feels very organic and natural. And from what I understand, it is one of the most primitive forms of paint, which is why I thought it would be a good fit for this table since it's so old. And then I'll let it set up and then we'll get to painting. It's been about 10 minutes and the milk paint has set up. It's nice and smooth. Here's the paint. I'm using a natural bristle oval. It's from Vintage Tonality. I've had this brush a while. It was the first oval brush that I ever got, and it's held up really well. So I've had it over a year now, and cleans up really well. I just use Johnson's & Johnson's Baby Wash for my brushes. I was gonna spray it, but I think it'll be okay. So I'm just gonna start painting. So I just wanted to take a minute and show you guys like how crazy I can get with trying to reuse things. I had this paint. It's DIY paint. It is the color crinoline. This is what's left of it. I need to order more, but I don't have any more right now. And this watered down little tiny bit, I had it in a squirt bottle and I had been using it as a wash. My thought is that I'm going to use this color to do the stencil on the top of the table. I have other whites, but I really want this creamy white color because I think it'll go with the warm undertones and hues of the table. So what I did was I poured off all of the water that was sitting on top. This was all at the bottom of my spray bottle. And then I tried to separate out what was left of the paint. I put it in this little container and I am just kind of letting it sit here, letting it evaporate. I know. It's nutso, but that's just what I do. Here's the stencil that I'm going to use for the tabletop. And in the meantime, letting this dry. I would order some new crinoline, but it won't get here in time. In my true fashion, using what I have at home, and this is what I have, I'm gonna make it work. I might have to add a little bit of a white base just to give it some more bulk, but I shouldn't need all that much because it's just for the stencil and the table's not very big. So stay tuned, we'll see how this works out. Making the most of my time, I'm waiting for paint to dry, so I might as well go out and snip back some herbs that have overwintered in these giant pots. This photo is titled Vitamin D Conversion. This is dried for about 2 hours. I am now going to apply the second coat. I'll continue to add the second coat and we'll start working on the stain for the top of this piece. In order to make the stain, I wrung out the leftover milk paint that was in the paintbrush as well as added some water to the already existing trophy which was in that jar. Just added some water and used that as the stain. I didn't want to waste what I had. After you apply one thin coat of milk paint stain, then you go back and you wipe it back and keep looking for the color that you want. Remember the leftover crinoline that I siphoned out of a spray bottle? Well, it has almost completely dehydrated. Just a little bit of water left in there. But at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and add some plain white to beef this up a little bit and get ready for my stencil. The stencil that I'm using today is called Maple Hill by the Bonnie Christine Stencil Collection. So I'm going to do a very light stencil. I don't want this to be bright white in contrast with the stained top. I also want this stencil to be almost watered down and like a watercolor on this wood. Very light and subtle. So I have my paint here. I mixed it up. It's crinoline mixed up with white, just white swan from DIY. I have a brown bag, so I will be putting the paint on here, kind of blotting it from there, and then going straight to the stencil. Because my husband is leaf blowing in the background, I figured I would just voice over. Using a sanding block and I believe 220 grit sandpaper, I'm going to be just scuffing up, oh, that's 400 grit, scuffing up the surface of this table just to make it look a little worn and weathered and that it's been around for a while. Okay, so we're going to be finishing up this top of this table. I'm going to be using this General Finishes flat out top coat poly. It's water-based. The top coat, I'm putting this on because I want it to seal up and be a protective layer because it's a table. So I want to be able to, I want people to be able to use it. And my husband's just coming home on the motorcycle. 3 coats are recommended. Apply a liberal amount using a synthetic bristle or foam brush pad applicator, which I will use. Even stroke, light lap lines, avoid heavy pressure and back brushing. Lap lines will tighten down as they dry. So I'm using the rest of this up. I've used this before many times. As you can see, the can is now empty. There's a little bit left in there, and you know me, if there's anything left in there, I will be using it. I'm hoping to be able to get the 3 coats out of what I have left here. This is the blue pad applicator that they sell at Dixie Belle. I have to get it wet. Oh, handy dandy continuous mister. It is now slightly damp. I am gonna dip it, get a little bit on the bottom, and then brush it off so that it's not all goopy and messy. And then I'm gonna start up in this corner and just slide it on. And I'm gonna keep going, finish.
I just wanted to go around the river once. I saw the bike and it was beckoning me.
You wanna say hi to YouTube?
Oh, hey YouTube.
Was there any sunset out there?
Oh, it was beautiful, beautiful. But I came home quick as possible because the sunset wasn't nearly as beautiful without your presence.
Oh, I see.
Well, if you're going to do this, I'll just go around another time.
Do what you do. But I'm almost done. Are we eating fish for dinner? Tuna?
It doesn't take long to cook it.
Well, it's already 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. I don't really care what time it is.
Oh.
Fine, it's but a storm we're all swept up in.
Oh.
You want to get on the back and I'll take you down
no.
the...
No, I do not wish to get on the back of the motorcycle.
You want to get on the front? I gave it an extra good rev as I was going past other Kenny's house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know, I revved it.
Welcome to my world, people. Welcome. Next up, a good polish with my favorite Daddy Vans. This might be my favorite way to finish tabletop. Poly and then beeswax. Poly is like that base coat that protects the wood from getting the water stain or getting it wet. And then beeswax just goes right on top of that and gets into all the little nooks and crannies. And it smells good too. It's got a lavender orange oil essential oils. And last little bit that we can't forget about is this little area that's hidden. Make sure we get the wax there too. Dropped leaf. Ooh-wee. This little table came out so pretty. I would love to do one of these again. Maybe a bigger one. We'll put it in our dining room. That's it. That's a wrap, Tom. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap?
It's a wrap.
I don't know what to say. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right. Good job, everybody. Good job. We're all counting on you.
It was just mainly me and Gus. Gus managed me the whole time.
Gus, we were counting on you, buddy.
Thanks for watching, everybody. This table was so fun to remake. It sold in less than 24 hours on Facebook Marketplace. If you hung in till the end, please don't forget to like and subscribe my video. And stay tuned for more Free as Made with Girl Reinventing.